Hello, students. As we were moving on with the chapter, we had completed the first part, and in the second part, we will continue the chapter. Here we see that how, as in the first part, our main protagonist, Lencho, was waiting for rain, and the rain did come, but it was accompanied by a heavy downpour, which lasted for more than an hour and which completely destroyed all his crops. Now he is left with nothing. He survives on his crops and now he wants some aid in the form of money. And when there is nobody in the world, there is only one person, and he is God. So now he is at the mercy of God. Let us see how he displays an immense faith in God and what unusual thing he does, which normally human beings are not going to do ever. Okay, so let's begin with the second part. But in the hearts of all who lived in that solitary house in the middle of the valley. So now we are talking about Lencho's family, and instead of talking about them as a people, they are referred to as hearts, and they are all in despair, and they are living in that solitary house because it has already been mentioned that this house was the only house there which was seen in the whole valley. So solitary means all alone. There was a single hope, and the only hope was help from God. But how is God going to help us? We normally pray to God, we join our hands or whatever we are gestures, we just pray to God and we ask for some sort of help. But we directly don't write a letter to God, or we are not directly asking for money, that I want this sum of money and God, please send me this. Don't be so upset, even though this seems like a total loss. Remember, no one dies of hunger. This statement is enough to tell you that he has immense faith in God, and he is relieving the others from the tension, from that state of despair, telling that they should not be very tense, because as heard by all the people in the world, he also believes this, that no one dies of hunger in this world, because God always sends some or the other kind of help and saves the people. That's what they say. They here means the people of the world. They, through their experience, have said this, that God helps all the people in need. No one dies of hunger. So, as no one dies, we are also not going to die. Some or the other kind of help now God is going to send us. All through the night, Lencho thought only of this one hope. And what is this hope? The help of God, whose eyes, as he had been instructed, sees everything. We know God is omnipresent, God is omnipotent, he knows everything. And sometimes we don't even have to say anything, because he knows what is the problem of the of a person, and he does something or the other for the person. Even what is deep in one's conscience, so even when something is hidden in our conscience, conscience is what is right and what is wrong. That inner feeling which guides us, this also tells us that God is present and he is going to help us. Lencho was an ox of a man. Now this is important to understand, that how Lencho has been compared to an ox here by the writer. Why he has been compared to an ox? Because he is a strong man, first thing. Second, he is very hardworking. As an ox in the field is very strong and hardworking. Similarly, Lencho is also very strong and very hardworking, working like an animal in the fields. And how he is working? He is working very hard in the fields. But still, he knew how to write. Though he was very strong and he was hardworking, that doesn't mean that he was illiterate. He was literate and he knows how to write a letter or write anything. But still, he knew how to write. The following Sunday, at daybreak, early in the morning, he began to write a letter. Okay, that is a free time. He is writing a letter, though he is not doing any official work, but he decided to write it on Sunday. early in the morning, and he writes a letter to God, to himself, and he himself would carry to town and place it in the mail. And he has himself written this letter, and he will personally go to the town and place it in the mail, because he won't trust anybody else here. He is going to make it certain that the letter reaches God. It was nothing less than a letter to God. So obviously, this was a letter to God. To everyone's surprise, nobody in the world ever writes anything to God. We just pray to God, and but here a letter is literally written. Now, what are the? Do we know where God resides, and do we know what is the address of God? And so, how we normally write a letter, but we can see that because he has immense faith in God, he has written it, and he would even mail it. God, he wrote, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. He writes about his whereabouts, that how his whole crop has been destroyed by the hailstorm, and this year he has nothing to eat. He'll go hungry and he can even die of starvation if God hasn't helped him. I need 100 pesos. Pesos, as we can see here, is a basic currency. And here he has really demanded an amount of 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes. Now, to a farmer, when will the next amount of money come? When he will sow the field and the field will become ripe and he will harvest the crop and he will sell it and get the money. So until that time, during this whole time, he needs to survive. And for this survival, he requires some amount of money. However, faith we may have in God, but money is again very important, and we can never live without money, and to live until the crop comes, because the hailstorm dot dot dot. And he wrote the whole story how the hailstorm destroyed his whole crop. So what he has demanded here is 100 pesos. Pesos, as we can see here, is also the Latin American country's currency, and this is the basic unit of money. He wrote to God. After writing the whole letter on the envelope, he addressed to God. Put the letter inside, and still troubled. Inside where? Inside the post box or the mail, and still troubled. Still he is in tension until he will actually get the amount. He would be in trouble, in tension and despair. Went to town. At the post office, he placed a stamp on the letter. Obviously, no letter can reach its destination until you stamp it, and dropped it into the mailbox. So very properly, with a proper stamp also, he has dropped it into the mailbox. He has not written the address of God here. Now that his work has been done here, he has done something according to his faith. Now we come to this post office, and who is there in the post office? The postman are there, the postal department employees are there, and the postmaster is there. One of the employees, once you mail the letter and put it in the letter box here in the mailbox, then these letters are properly sorted out. They are segregated according to the various addresses, and they are finally sent to these respective cities or places. Now, as soon as one of the employees started sorting these letters, he was really surprised. Who was a postman? This man was a postman and also helped at the post office. He also helped in the post office. He went, as soon as he saw a letter which was addressed to God, he immediately went to his boss. Who is the boss here? He is the postmaster. Laughing heartily. The one thing that was an obvious response was he laughed at the kind of response by the man, that how can a man ever write a letter to God? So a very heartfelt laugh, and showed him the letter to God. Never in his whole career as a postman had he known that address. Do we know where God lives and where to send it? We never know it, and neither did the postman knew. The postmaster, now dash is there, We will know about the description of this man, what kind of a man he was. A fat, amiable. Amiable is a friendly and a pleasant man. He is a nice man and fellow who broke out laughing. Now he started laughing as soon as he saw the letter which was addressed to God. But almost immediately, so obviously the first reaction was along with the postman, he also started laughing. But immediately after a moment or two, he realized something. He realized what might be the motive behind writing the letter to God. He realized that this man really has a great, unfathomable faith in God, and that is why he has literally written a letter to God. But almost immediately he turned serious. Now, what is this realization and why he grew serious? What is this? Why has been there a change in expression and mood here? And tapping the letter on his desk, what has he commented here? What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man. He is really impressed. And what is he impressed of? He's very much impressed with the great, immense faith in God, that you have literally written a letter and asked for your sum of money. So he wished he had this amount of faith. But faith cannot be sprouted and grown inside you deliberately. It slowly and naturally grows naturally, starting up a correspondence with God. And he has started a correspondence, a communication with God in the form of a letter. So he is really, we can see the two exclamatory marks also. He's really surprised, he's astonished, and he's impressed. So finally, he has been impressed, but what is his desire to do? What he wants to do and what has he decided? Okay. So in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, now the motive has been presented here. How he doesn't want the writer's faith in God to be moved in any way, to be shaken in any way. He wanted this faith to be intact and strengthened. The postmaster came up with an idea. And what is this idea? Answer the letter. Now he wanted to answer the letter. But you know that this letter did not just require the answer in the form of pen and paper, but it also wanted some amount of money, which he himself was not capable enough to procure. But when he opened the letter it is a letter. It was evident that to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill. Now, goodwill's meaning has been given, how you are in your friendly relationship that you have. But more than goodwill, ink and paper, you require something else, and that is that is money that you require. And this sum of money is also big enough for the postmaster to collect and to give it to him. But he stuck to his resolution. As soon as he realized that this was not that easy to help him, because 100 pesos are required to make the person satisfied, but still his resolution, his firm decision has been taken. He wanted to stick to it and he wanted to do something for this man, just because he didn't want to shake his faith in God. He asked for money from his employees. Now, whenever you want to help somebody, and suppose you don't have the money, you want to do some charity, but you are not having that money, you normally ask others. So if together many people contribute even a small amount, you will be able to sum up or make up a huge sum of money. It may be good enough, it may be not, depends upon how many people have given it and how much. So he asked for money from his employees, all the employees who were there in the post office. He himself gave part of his own salary, one thing, obviously, charity begins from home, and several friends of his were obliged to give something for an act of charity. He himself gave his share of income, and others were also asked for this act of charity. Charity is giving, donating something, whether it is in terms of money or food or anything. So all the people came positively to help, but now what sum of money has been collected here, it was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos. 100 pesos were demanded, but he was not able to amass 100 pesos or collect 100 pesos of money. So he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. You know, even if you are not able to do great, but you should try to do whatever you can. So he did it. More than half, that is 70 pesos, were collected, and he put them in an envelope addressed as from God. He put the money in an envelope addressed obviously to Lencho, because he is sending this to Lencho, and with it a letter containing only a single word as a signature. To Lencho, these 70 pesos are being sent, but from whom it has been sent, it is God. He has not written his own names or the other post office employees or the postal department, but he wants to write God only, so that the faith which Lencho has in God should not be shaken, and he should believe that God has helped him. He asked for, and God has been very kind, very merciful to help him. So this is the end of this part. We'll continue. The following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier. Now Lencho was eagerly waiting until he gets finally the sum of money than usual. Next Sunday, Lencho came, but he came a bit earlier. Why earlier? Because he's really curious. He's really excited to get his sum of money than usual, to ask if there was a letter for him, because he was expecting a letter from God. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him. Now the postman was also very excited, because he wanted to see the happy expressions on the face of Lencho after getting the letter from God and even the money. So he handed the letter to him personally, while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment is satisfaction of a man who has performed a good deed. Now, postmaster also wants to take at least the pleasure of gazing and looking at the happy expressions of a man who was in deep grief, and now he might feel contented. So he was looking at this man who has performed a good deed. Now, who has performed the good deed? The postmaster. He looked on from his office. So, as an onlooker, he was looking from a distance to Lencho as the postman was handing over the letter to Lencho. Now, is Lencho surprised or not that he has got a letter from God? Suppose we would have received a letter from God, we would have been completely surprised. But here, he was not at all surprised. Again, what is the reason? Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the money. And that is again because of the reason that he had great and immense faith in God. Such confidence in God that he knew that if I have asked something from God, God is surely going to answer me the letter, not only in letter form, but also the money. But as soon as he opened the letter, he read it and saw the money, he became angry. When he counted the money, God could not have made a mistake. Can God make a mistake? Or God is not having even 100 pesos. That is not possible. So there may be somebody as a mediator who might have done something uh, that can be dishonesty. Nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. God is God after all. How could he deny a person? And secondly, he cannot have lack of money, that he is not having even 100 pesos, that he has just given 70. That is also something which cannot be accepted. Immediately, Lencho went up to the window to ask for paper and pen. And in the same angry mood, he went on the writing desk, took a pen and paper, and started writing. This is the second letter to God. On the public writing table, obviously, if you would have seen in the banks, in the post offices, there are these public writing tables where you can write. He started to write with much wrinkling of his brow. Now, what is this wrinkling of his brow? Whenever you are in tension, whenever you are in anxiety, you corrugate the eyebrows in this manner. You show the frowning expression on your forehead. In the similar form, he is writing the letter, caused by the effort he had to make to express his ideas. When you are too much engrossed into something, you just want to outpour all your expressions somewhere. The same is a gesture that your eyebrows become corrugated and wrinkled. When he finished, finally, when he finished writing the letter, he went to the window to buy a stamp. After all, again, he would require a stamp to affix to be sent, which he licked. When you're not having the gum, you just lick it, wet it with your saliva, and affix it to the envelope. So he licked to the envelope, and then the envelope with the blow of his fist, as you might have seen, that how we paste a stamp, and then to make it strengthen enough, to make it strong enough, we just give some force and pressure with the blow of our fist. Fist, we know that our hands, when these fingers are curled inside, this is known as a fist. The moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postmaster went to open it. Now here we will stop and pause for a moment to think about what might be the expectation of the postmaster here. He might be expecting that there would be a lot of gratitude which would be shown here on the part of Lencho, because he has received 70 pesos, which is also a huge sum of money and which could make him going for at least a lot of time. But unfortunately, it was something just the opposite. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest. Okay, so I am adamant that I require 100, and I'm really needy. I cannot survive in less than 100 pesos, since I need it very much and very badly. But don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. And who has written this letter? Lencho. Now, what is the unexpected thing here? We were not expecting that the people who have been so kind, so compassionate, so helpful will be blamed and will be called as crooks. Crooks means a criminal, a dishonest person. So they are together, all of them are a bunch of crooks. So he has blamed, he has accused these people of dishonesty, of stealing those 100, those 30 pesos out of 100, which God have sent had sent him. So he is blaming the post office employees. Now the chapter ends here, and it is just like an open-ended questions have been at a point where we have to think whether the postmaster would have felt happy or sad. On one hand, we can see that really he had immense faith in God. That is why he could never ever feel that God might have sent him only 70 pesos instead of 100. He cannot at all accept this fact. On the other hand, it is the postmaster might have felt sad also, that he tried his best to collect the money and finally send it to him, and he was just waiting to get that smile and happiness on his face, that he has got charity without disclosing his name, his identity in an anonymous manner. But still on the contrary accused of being called dishonest and crooks. But this is it. Finally, we know that this reason is still the same as we have been continuing in the chapter, that he has had immense faith in God, so much that he is not trusting the human beings, but he is trusting God. This is again a contradictory thing here. We can see that how he has a great trust in God, but he has no trust in human beings. And that happens in life also. So, this is a story where we have seen that so much of immense faith, unfathomable faith, has been displayed by human beings, and the other human beings have also been compassionate enough to hold his faith, to strengthen his faith, and they have tried their best. I think you would have understood this chapter very well. Please go through this chapter nicely, read it properly, and try to find the answers.